We
What?
welcome everyone to Financial Fun Friday. We have, it's about fun all the time, but today we're going to talk about something that's fun, but is also serious. So we just wanted to, in advance, welcome Bill back. Some of you were here last time. He's coming back to finish what he started. Okay, so we're excited about it. We thank you, Bill. You guys, I'm so sorry to look at me, but light all in my eye from the sunlight because she being lazy. She's sitting on the couch. She don't want to go in the office. I feel like the office is Friday. I want to sit on the couch. So I'm gonna try to see if I can.
Hey, Marita, that's the fun part about being live. Hey, Facebook. So we're just gonna move on forward. Come on, we're gonna
Listen,
move
this
forward.
look, they can't say this ain't real. This is real.
This is mighty real, Bill. So
Yeah.
welcome to Financial Fun Friday, everyone. I am your co-host, Darlene Jenkins, and my other co-host,
Dr. Rita B. Rowland.
yes, Dr. Rita B. Rowland. Yes, she does. And we have a special guest here with us again today, Mr. Bill Wormley. But Rita's going to tell you more about him in just a little bit. But your Financial Fun Friday team is being brought to you by Affordable Benefit Solutions, where we're always bringing you what's new, but more importantly, what's next in the financial industry. So for those of you that are just joining us for the first time for Financial Fun Fridays, this is a webinar that we do on the first and third Wednesday each and every month at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But guess what? We're also broadcasting live simultaneously on Facebook. Hey, Facebook, thank you everyone for joining us. And during this webinar, what we do is we pull back the curtain so that you can get an in-depth understanding of not only your on-the-job benefits, but we also give you some of the best retirement preparation options and different financial tips and strategies. Now, if you would like to join us here live on the webinar, where when you talk, guess what? We talk right back to you. You can register at ritabrolandevents.com. Of course, if you're on Facebook, please right now take the time, pull out your phones, go to Your AV Solutions on Facebook. And if you ever want to see any of our prior Fun Friday episodes, you can always catch us on YouTube. Look for Financial Fun Friday or Affordable Benefit Solutions. Now, Rita, we also do something called check-in, because we know people tune in from all over the country and soon the world. So right now, drop it in the Q&A, because I haven't figured out the chat yet. But put it in the Q&A. If you're on Facebook, let us know where you're checking in. This is check-in time, and then we'll get all the check-ins on the next screen as I explain why we do this. So our whole purpose of the Financial Fun Friday series is just to help you understand your benefits, your money, the spending habits, and to offer and support you with solutions that will enable you to reach what, Rita? Your financial destination. So, Rita, can you check and see where are they checking in from?
We got North Carolina. We got Fort Washington. We got Columbia, Maryland. We got Upper Marlboro. We got Washington, D.C. We got Nashville, Tennessee. Let me see. Anybody else? I think that's it for now, Darlene. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. We appreciate you being here. So we're going to jump right in. But before we do, I just want to let you know that the information that we're going to be sharing today is going to be presented in a generic approach. And why do we do that? We do that because without having individual knowledge of each and every one of you that are on here now, watching us on Facebook, and those of you that will watch us later on YouTube, we can't individualize the presentation. But what we can do is when you see some information or you hear some information that we give, and you are like, hey, you're driving down my street now, I need to get more information on that, just simply reach out to your Financial Fun Friday team and give us a call at 301-577-6340, and we can customize this information to meet you at your point of need. So please accept this information as general in context and apply it where you feel it fits you and your family's particular situation. So thank you so much for understanding. So can we just talk for a minute, Rita, Bill? Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, shall we, Rita?
Yeah, I think we should. And I think it's so important to really talk about what we're going to share with you today, because it's even more alarming from 2 weeks ago from when we first started this conversation. I just got some data that insurance companies are saying that they see an increase in deaths in about 40%. It's just a lot of stuff that's happening, and we're taught how to be born. Like, they teach women how to bring a child in the world. They teach us how to get educated to get a good job. They teach us even how to be married. We go to premarital classes. They teach you how to do everything, but what we don't do is help people prepare for what's inevitable. Every last one of us on this line that'll come anytime, we're going to die. But nobody really talks about this process and what it looks like. And it's almost like something that we all going to do. It's like it's a bad thing. It's like it's taboo. If I talk about death, I'm going to die. Well, we all going to die. It's just the death date is what we don't know. But because we're not prepared, and because people using GoFundMe, or because you don't want to talk about it, you leave your family in a place that they can't even grieve the fact that you're gone. They're stressing over how they're going to go through this process because we haven't prepared. So what Bill is going to finish today is what he started. It's the elephant in the room, because it's what people don't want to talk about, but it's something that we all have to talk about. And I know it's tough, but I think when you talk about it, when you prepare for it, it truly does make it hard. I've had a lot of deaths over the last 3 to 4 months, over 10 people that I know, family member, that have passed away. And so if you're not prepared for it, you don't have a plan, it becomes a stress, because you're gone, but that stress is left to those who really love you. And it doesn't just, it's not good. So Bill is going to come talk about some things. If he can run through the first 4 that he started last time very quick and just kind of mention it. And let's talk about some new things, because that was alarming, y'all. And the insurance industry is talking about it. The morticians are talking about it. The funeral homes, like, what's going on? And so if we can understand that there's more deaths that are going on than ever before, I think it makes sense to check with your mom or your sister, your brother, to make sure they're prepared. Because if they're not prepared, your savings that may have taken you 4, 5, 10, 15 years to get to that good spot could be gone in just one person's death because they're not prepared. So Bill, and I'm going to introduce Bill. I tell you, I've known Bill probably for about 15 years now. We did some other business together. And when he decided to leave his real estate mortgage business to come into this business, he called me. And honestly, y'all, I wasn't trying to do it, but just when you think about all of what's out here, I knew that people needed another plan. They needed something to make sure that those people that they love was prepared, or they was prepared. You'd be very surprised at how many people got assets, but they're not prepared for their final expenses. So Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you. We thank you for coming to share with our people, because we need to know.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Rita B. Rowland. And Miss Darlene, it's a pleasure to be on here with y'all one more time, and certainly love what y'all do. Love the energy that you bring, and more important, the education. Our people perish for a lack of knowledge, right? And for you all, the commitment that you've had over the years to make sure that our folks are informed and make sure that they're educated is applaudable. I applaud y'all for what y'all do. And you know what? The great thing is, and to make it fun in the process, that's a big deal. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on here again. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll just jump into it. And everything that you said was 100% correct. We spend a lot of time on living, but oftentimes folks don't take the time to prepare for what we know is going to happen. And we know that all of us have one thing in common. And that one thing in common is we're all going to die one day. We know good and well. The older we get, the more funerals it seems like we go to, and oftentimes those families are not prepared. And as a result of it, it makes a very painful, stressful process, even more so because there was no preparation during that. So last time we were together, we were talking about the 9 things that you need to know about funerals, and we got through the first 4. So the first one, I'm just going to recap it as you asked really quick. The first one is there is federal law on the books that protects us as consumers when it comes to dealing with the death and dying industry. And that rule is that law is called the Funeral Rule of 1984. So if anybody's taking notes, the Funeral Rule of 1984, feel free to Google it. This is information that's on the books, it's federal law, but don't count on the funeral homes to tell you what the law states, okay? So we have to go in and we have to be informed regarding that, because that law is going to protect your family, to make sure that they're not overcharged, to make sure that you know exactly what your options are, to know that you don't have to, like, for example, you don't have to buy the casket from the funeral home. So if the funeral home is selling the casket for $5,000, your family can probably get the same casket for $1,000. Amen, somebody, right? So that information is going to be very helpful for your family. The importance of the fact that when you go into a funeral home, or even if you call a funeral home and request a general price list, they have to give it to you. And then they have to abide by the price on that dated price list. So that's number one. Number two, funeral costs have been growing much faster than the overall consumer price index. So the bottom line is, unlike gas prices, unlike other things that sometimes go up in price, go down in price, guess what constantly goes up every single year? Well, yeah, you got it. Funeral expenses, right? Funeral expenses are estimated to go up anywhere between 3.5% to 4.5% to 5%, sometimes every single year. And I think that number has even been higher since we've gone through the pandemic. So even if you got insurance to cover your funeral expenses years ago, right, you want to go back and reevaluate that. Call Affordable Benefit Solutions, right? Call Rita, call Darlene and their team, so you can reevaluate and reassess what you have, because there's a good chance that if you got that coverage years ago, guess what you probably need to do? You probably need to add some more coverage to make sure that you're keeping up, you know, because at the end of the day, we take this coverage out, not just for ourselves. It's not taking it for ourselves, but we're taking it out for our families, to make sure that we're not leaving a burden on our families, to make sure that all of our affairs are taken care of. So you want to make sure that they're not partially taken care of, but they're fully taken care of. Number three, with no funeral plan, survivors oftentimes can overspend by hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. We know that when we lose a loved one, and all of us, I believe, on here probably lost people close to us. You know, I told Rita and Darlene, they know that I've been in charge of 2 funerals in my life, my mother and my daughter, okay? And both of them were extremely painful. Both of them were very emotional. And oftentimes, if we don't have folks that are advising us, right, we're going to make, in those emotional times, we're going to make emotional decisions. And those emotional decisions turn into emotional purchases, right? And when we purchase emotionally, sometimes my wife purchases emotionally. The other day in the Nordstrom store, Rita, and she spent more than I thought she was going to spend.
Leave her alone, Bill.
Ew.
When she bought that Brahmin bag, right? It was more than I thought. She didn't even go out to get the Brahmin bag, but she got emotional when she saw it, right?
Leave her alone, Bill.
I ain't messing with her. She ain't
I could
here
be
anyway.
touched. I could be touched.
But on the side of dealing with death, that's also emotional time, right? We make emotional decisions and we make emotional purchases. And what families tend to do is families tend to overspend. And especially if there's no plan that's already set up, then as a result of that, the family's going to overspend. So having a plan initially is going to help to make sure that doesn't happen. So, you know, getting back with Darlene, with Rita, is going to help you put a plan in place ahead of time. And you're planning for something that you know is going to happen, and I know is going to happen. We know that we're all going to die one day. So put your plan in place. And then number 4, I did number 4 last week, Darlene. Number 4, you know, shopping for the right funeral home could be the difference between paying $2,000 and $10,000 for the same funeral home. So every funeral home is not the same. We got statistics from different funeral homes, and transferring the body at one funeral home was $200, transferring the body at another funeral home, same body, was $800, right? Embalming at one funeral home was $400, and embalming at another funeral home was $900. I don't know the difference between a $400 and $900 embalming. Maybe it's like a higher octane or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, every funeral home is not the same. So you have the ability to shop around. We have a service that helps with that, because when you're going through the process, you're not going to shop around. But having somebody on your side that's going to do it on your behalf and on your family's behalf makes a big difference. So let's bounce to number 5 real quick, because I know our time rolls on here. But number 5, final expense life insurance, also commonly called burial insurance, is one of the most efficient and trusted ways to pay for final expenses. One of the great things about it, because sometimes folks use different methods and plans to plan and prepare. But when you have a final expense plan, that final expense plan goes, the benefits go directly to the beneficiary. Okay, so that's definitely a benefit. There's no, now I hate making tax statements, so I'm going to say in most cases, there's no federal tax on insurance benefits. If you have any tax related questions, I know Ms. Rita B. Rowland is, or Dr. Rita B. Rowland is a CPA. Bill is not a CPA, so I'm not going to make any statements in that regard. But in most instances, there's no federal tax on insurance benefits. The proceeds are not tied to any funeral industry provider. So when you have your plan, your family has the flexibility to truly shop around to whatever funeral home is going to give them the best deal. Because again, every funeral home is not the same. I have a client also up in New Jersey that is dealing with a situation with a funeral home because they had set up a plan with a funeral home, and as a result, the funeral home went out of business. Well, they've been paying that funeral home for years, and now they're in a legal fight to get their money. And I don't know who they're suing exactly, but again, it's a legal battle right now because they paid all that money in, and the funeral home that took over is not honoring the agreement from the previous funeral home. Okay. And again, insurance benefits usually avoid the possibility of any delays in probate court. So sometimes if you don't have a plan, even if you have assets, and again, that's a Dr. Rita B. Rowland discussion in terms of how do you protect your assets during that time, or how do those assets properly transfer and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is you want to have a plan. You want to have a plan. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And we definitely don't want to plan to fail when it comes to our families, right? Number 6, there are other costs that you want to consider. So oftentimes when folks are taking out a final expense plan, or if they take out life insurance, they haven't specifically planned out everything that's going to occur, right? For example, cemetery plot costs, Lord have mercy, have cemetery plot costs gone up? Rita B. Rowland, cemetery plot costs have gone up.
Everything is gone up. Cremation's gone up. When my client just passed, and the cremation, I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
everything. That's like thousands of dollars. What many people thought it was inexpensive. It's not. Nothing is inexpensive anymore.
Yeah,
the cremation, you talked about cremation costs have gone up so much, and it's a result of, so 2021, just a little fun fact, 2021 was the first year that the number of cremations exceeded the number of earth burials in 2021. So
Yes.
we know from being in school back in the day, I don't remember a lot of stuff, but I do remember this, and it's the law of supply and demand, right? So the more that there's a demand for something, that increases the price, right? So the funeral directors, they can see the statistics, they know exactly what's going on in terms of what people are doing. So families are doing it out of need, but now that need is becoming even more intensified because now the funeral directors across the board are raising the price. So families who are unprepared, now they're even more unprepared because now they don't have, now that even that cremation cost has gone up tremendously. Cemetery plot costs, again, the plots, thousands of dollars for a cemetery plot. You know, so some of us have parents and grandparents that got plots back in the day for $800. Well, $800 no more, right? So you're talking about thousands of dollars for a cemetery plot, right? Opening and closing of the grave. Okay, let's talk about that for a little bit because there is a difference. So typically the cemeteries want you to have the funeral and the burial on what day of the week? What day of the week you think that is? It's normally they want you to have it on Saturdays, right? Well, just so happens that the cost of opening and closing of the grave is more expensive on Saturdays, oftentimes almost double the cost. So you could spend a couple $1,000s for opening and closing the grave on Saturday, but if you tell the family we having the burial on Thursday, well, now all of a sudden the family done saved $1,000, $1,200, right? Just by having it on Thursday, and let Uncle Jimmy and all those folks take their time off from work, use their time off, and have the home going on Thursday because it's going to save the family money, right? But opening and closing the grave, a significant cost, right? And that keeps going up. Grave markers, monuments, headstones, thousands of dollars, you know, it can be. So the bottom line is that you want to plan that stuff out ahead of time. When we set up a funeral expense or a final expense plan, those are some of the things that we plan out ahead of time for that specific family. So you know that you have those costs taken care of in your plan.
Mhm.
Any comments before I move to number 7? That, I got y'all last time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to keep moving.
I'm
Yeah.
laughing, Bill, because not I'm going to make a comment, but I told Darlene, oh my God, we got the pastor on, he about to.
I'm trying to keep moving. Look, you already know, right?
But I think it's so important that we really do understand that as we prepare, like we prepare for retirement, you got vacation in your budget, you do all of this stuff. I think it's just not, I'm not sure where that came from, that because if we talk about a thing is going to happen, like is it going to happen to, like that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you prepare for retirement. Maybe some of y'all started putting money in a 401k the first day you started working. You wasn't trying to retire tomorrow, but you were preparing for that day when it came. So it is the same thing when it comes to planning for that last day. It's not that you plan for it today, you leaving tomorrow, but how about we be proactive and your family are not being reactive because you did not have a plan. So I just want to say that, like, it doesn't mean you're dying tomorrow. All it means is that you're being active in how you want this last process to go. Like, I need my family to know what's going on. I need to know what song to play. I need to know, like, look, you need to be having a party. I don't want you sad. I got a plan for my thing. I need y'all to celebrate, not being there crying. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not involved in the process, then they won't know what that looks like. They don't know what kind of casket I want. They don't know that I don't want to spend all that money on that box. They need to know all of that in advance, because it makes stress. When they know what you want is already planned, boom, boom, they get to really enjoy the process,
Exactly. It minimizes. You're going to grieve. Don't get me wrong. We're all going to grieve when we lose somebody that's close to us. But when the money ain't right and when there's no plan there, it takes the grieving to another level. So us going through this process is a reflection of how much we love our families. And I'm sure all of us on here love our families. So I put all this stuff in place. We do this for all of our clients because our clients, they want, when the time comes and there's time for a end of life celebration, let's make it just that, right? And let's not make it a stressful situation, because now we're trying to figure out behind the scenes, how are we going to pay for this? Or, oh, I didn't know this, or I didn't know that, or, oh, I didn't know we had to do this. It just makes it, there's a lot that has to be done in a little bit of time. So the more you plan it out ahead of time, that those plans don't have to be made in the last minute, because the plans are already made, so just encouraging you all, take the time. It's a little bit of time to take on the front end that's going to give peace of mind on the back end for your family. So that's a big deal. Number
Bill,
7.
if I can just interject one thing here. When you said, taking care of things on the back end and, the stress with the finances, a lot of people don't realize that oftentimes you're on the job insurance, because that's one of the objections we often run into, right, Rita? Oh, I got insurance through my job. Well, that is wonderful. But if you retire, that's a whole nother thing, what happens to that insurance. But let's say you pass while you're working, as my cousin did. My cousin passed in June, and for whatever reason, his children still have not been paid out that group life policy.
Yeah.
And what's happening now in the industry, right, Bill? And you can speak to this. And Rita just had this happen. The funeral homes don't want to wait for that long process through an employer insurance like the Fagley. They want that money up front.
Yep.
So now you like, where am I going to get the money from? And that's why it's important to have this something on the outside. And that's what we've always advocated. It's nothing wrong with having your on-the-job insurance.
No.
But when there's a glitch in the matrix, you need something outside the matrix that's going to keep that process moving. Because I thought all of the benefits had been paid out until 2 of his children came to me and was like, why aren't they paying? You said they were going to pay. And I'm like, well, I don't work for them, but let's find out what's going on. And that was shocking to me. I don't know if it's falling through the crack, but that's something to think about, because I know a lot of people, Rita, are often hesitant because I have insurance on the job. So just a little food for thought.
That's big, Darlene. That's big. But you hear that a lot. And the thing of it is, what you said is absolutely correct. I've got even worse situation. I've got a client whose brother passed away last November. This December, it's been over a year, and the family still hasn't received the proceeds from the insurance policy yet. It's been over a year. The family had to pass the hat. They had to come up with $12,000 amongst the family to pay for his homegoing, and they're still waiting for the insurance policy to pay out to get reimbursed. So what you're saying is right. And those policies with the employers, the individual is not in charge of those policies. And if I'm saying it right, Rita, you correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really even own those policies, right? So those are organization or company owned policies that we're able to ride on, right? So as soon as we leave those companies, if you don't retire and you leave, typically that insurance goes away, you know? So it's always important to have your own plan in place and something that's going to pay out for the family, so it doesn't put the family in financial turmoil while they're waiting for the policy to pay out. A final expense plan is going to pay out very quickly to make sure that all those expenses are taken care of. Rita, it looked like you had that look on your face like you were going to say something. I know that look.
Did she, Bill?
Yeah, I know that look. And
No,
look, it's been more than 15 years. It's been like 20 years.
I cannot take y'all. But honestly, I think it's very important to what you just said is critical. And it's not so that y'all understand, it's not that your jobs are not going to pay. But think about the government. Thinking about how many people die a day. Think about how many claims that they're trying to get through the system. And then once they even verify it, right? You say my parents, my mom, my sister, my husband passed away. Then they got to send you something, right? Then you got to complete, wait for it. Then they got to come back. And where is that claim in the whole stacking process? And then they got to send it to the processing department. Then they verify and process it. Then they send it to the people that cut the check. And then when they get the check, then they send it to the people to mail it out. And then it's just sometimes things are a process, but that process could be weeks or a month and a half or two, but your loved one needs to be in the ground in a week or two. Those two don't match up. So I just wanted y'all to be like, well, my job is going to pay. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying to have something in place, because if your family don't have that money, you could be sitting out for a while, or they're stressing because now they got to go drain their savings. And, you know, just think about family. We love our family, but they could be a little shady. And when it comes to money, your family may be afraid that they won't get their money back because it's happened before. You know, let's just keep that elephant in the room. Can I give $500,000 and then you never see it again? So just be prepared, and having a plan in place just takes away all the stuff that don't have to happen. Many families break up after death. They're like, they don't talk for years and for months, and they haven't talked since Aunt Betty or Daddy died. Like siblings haven't talked in years because of just trying to deal with the funeral and the final expenses. It has changed relationships over money.
My God. And first of all, I want to say, I don't appreciate you talking about my family right now, because Lord knows you talk about my uncle and my sister right now. When my grandmother passed away, they still did not talk to this day. And, you know, I'm a peacemaker. I'm trying to get them together. And they still, you know, over exactly what you're talking about. It was just the lack of communication, lack of expectation, dealing with her insurance policies, all that kind of stuff. It was a big mess, you know. So the bottom line is having that plan makes sense. If you have other insurance vehicles, other investment vehicles, to have a final expense plan as a part of your portfolio only makes sense. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, Rita, because how much time we got?
I mean, I was getting ready to ask everyone if you could give us another 10 or 15 minutes. And even though we're going over, we really want you to understand how important this is. So please forgive us. And if you can give us another 10 or 15 minutes, and we're going to try to move this on, but not in a way that we move so fast that we don't let you understand it. Because you look, you got Bill who will pass, you got me who stuttered. Like, y'all got some issues going on today.
And Rita, just one last comment, because Bill brought up something and it was in my head too. You have investments, because I hear that a lot too, right? Well, I got this money in the TSP, my mutual fund, wherever you may have it. They can just use that. Well, that's a process and processing as well. And it throws in a tax burden on the person who's now trying to bury you. So yes, you could have millions of dollars saved up in your retirement. And unfortunately, you didn't get to take advantage of all of it. So that's what you're expecting for your loved ones to take care of your burial process with.
Yeah.
Well, there's still the claim form, as Rita said, they still got to process it. Now, you know, with the 10-year inherited IRA, especially if it's qualified money. So now you're asking them to take out this money to bury you that's going to count as income for them, and they're going to have to pay taxes. So it's a lot wound up in that when it could just be so simple and plain, as Bill just said, with a final expense. And Bill, I don't know if you're going to get to it or not, but what I love about this plan is that it does not matter what your health is.
That's right. That's right.
You can get it.
Yeah, and I'm going to just talk about the plan a little bit really quick. I'm going to do it in 8 minutes, 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh. I'm going to do it. But one thing I want to say to what you said is I saw a statistic the other day, and I wish I remember exactly where I pulled it from, but it said 45% of a person's health expenses or medical expenses, over 45% of a person's lifetime medical expenses are taken up in their final illness. You know, so when somebody has to go into a nursing home or whatever, that's, what is that, $6,000 to $8,000 a month? So if you got assets, just imagine how much of those assets are going to be taken up in your final illness. That's something to consider, because if you live in, if you're in a funeral home, not funeral home, not yet. If you in a nursing home, you know, and you're spending $70,000, $80,000 a year, and you in that nursing home for 2-3 years, just add up the costs, you know. So again, you want to make sure that those funeral expenses are set aside and covered. We have a very specific plan that a company we've been working with for many years, and they do a couple of things that are a little different. I just want to kind of share what that looks like. One of those is when somebody passes away. Again, it is a very emotional time, and oftentimes we don't have the information. We don't have time to dig for the information. So through a company called Lincoln Heritage, they're the #1 provider of final expense nationwide. They're the best company out there that I have found, and they provide something called family support services. Okay, so why is that a big deal? Well, when somebody passes away, again, it's very emotional, and what they're going to do is they're going to assign a counselor to walk with the family through the entire process, dealing with the funeral home, negotiating on behalf of the family to make sure that the family does not overspend, right? To make sure that they don't make those emotional decisions, and to make sure that they're not taken advantage of. I'm not speaking against the funeral home industry. However, we tend to spend emotionally, and they tend to help us do it. Okay, so I had a client just recently, Curtis passed away, and I was dealing with his sister, Monica. Anyway, long story short, Curtis's casket, they went into the funeral home, picked out everything. Curtis's casket was $6,000 that they picked out. That's how much the funeral home was selling the casket for. The Funeral Consumer Guarding Society through Lincoln was able to find the same casket through a third-party source, okay, and have it shipped. The shipping cost was about $200. The family spent a little over $1,900 for the exact same casket the funeral home was selling for $6,000, right? It saved the family $4,000. A couple other things were a little above usual and customary charges. The family saved about $5,000 total. Curtis's funeral, including burial, went from $14,000 down to about $9,000. That was a big deal for the family. So those kind of things, having that family support services piece is a big deal for my clients. And the great thing, the best thing I love about it, Rita and Darlene, y'all already know about it. It's a free benefit. Nobody dislike free, right? It's a free benefit for every Lincoln Heritage policy holder. Okay, so it's not just about having a policy, but it's about having a plan in place. And with that plan comes some support. The second thing we talked about before, Darlene, you talked about it, was how long it takes. And Rita, you talked about it, how long it takes sometimes to process these claims. Now, one of the things that I love about Lincoln that they do is their non-contestable claims paying process takes 24 hours. Because when somebody passes away, when does the family need the money? Somebody say right now. They need the money right now.
Right now.
So Lincoln, once they receive the paperwork, notification of the person's passed, and they receive like a working death certificate, they don't have to wait for the state issued death certificate. Once they get a working death certificate, that's just a handwritten document from the funeral home or even from the coroner stating that this is who this is before me, right? They will start the process of releasing that claim, and they will release that claim within 24 hours of notification. So that means that the family, worst case scenario, it's 2 or 3 days, and they have up to 80% of the insurance proceeds in hand to be able to do the things that they need to do. They're not waiting weeks, they're not waiting months. Now, again, that's beyond the contestable period. I don't know if I have time to talk about contestability, but there is a contestable period for every life insurance policy in this country within the first 2 years of the policy. And that might be a discussion for another session. But the bottom line is they pay out very quickly. And the great thing also is with their plan, almost everybody qualifies for coverage. So they have a 98% issue rate. So people who are dealing with, well, first of all, with a lot of our folks who got high blood pressure, diabetes, all that kind of stuff, if you're a little overweight, you know, that kind of thing, or as my sister says, fluffy, you know, like you can still get same day coverage, right? Which means the policy will go into effect same day without having a waiting period, even if you have some of those conditions. And even if you have a chronic health condition like cancer, like congestive heart failure, like COPD, like dementia, you know, if you're being an active addiction with alcohol or drug abuse, some of our family members need coverage and they're in active addiction. Guess what? You can still get coverage for those folks as well in a modified format. And oftentimes these folks are not getting covered by some of these other companies. They're getting denied, right? So the bottom line is Lincoln approves 98% of the applications that are submitted, right? So we can get everybody covered. The rate is locked in and the benefit is locked in. So the rate never goes up. So if you try to budget your money, right, we budget, the rate doesn't go up and the benefit never goes down. So you can count on the policy and the plan that you have in place. Let me pause right there because I try to do that all in one breath. No health examination, ask a few health questions, and then they do a quick prescription history check the prescriptions of the last 2 years. And I very rarely have to say no. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've said no in the last 5 years. So let me pause right there. I know our time is over. Any comment, Darlene, from you or Rita from you?
Well, just before, because in case some people leave, I just wanted you to understand that what this is, it just allows you to have coverage plan. So in case something happened to you, that your family are not worried and stressed, and that you can be an active part in this whole process. And what it does, that it gives you a peace of mind. And it means that your family have a peace of mind too. And so it's just very important that what we're talking about is just preparation. It doesn't, I think that's so key to understand, is that Bill just said how quickly, and I don't know if you guys understand that. He said they don't have to have a full death certificate. They just have to have a basic note saying that this person is deceased and this person is the person, and that they're paying out. I've been in the industry for 33 years. That is not normal. And with the amount of deaths that's going on now, death certificates are taking longer to be received because they remember the deaths are increased by 40%. So there's 40 more percent. That's why you see your family members. Normally, you know, within a week or two, we can bury our family. Sometimes it's 2.5, 3 weeks before we even can get our family to ground because there's so many people. And so when the time comes, like, does your family know who they're going to use? What is going to be the process? Planning is everything. It just takes the worry out of it. And what Bill said, that this plan allows you to not overpay. Because one of the things that I tell my clients all the time, and they came by the office and talked to me yesterday, they said, we gave them your number. I said, give them my number, because as much as I'm emotional about this, I'm not emotional like them. And so I can speak clear to the insurance company, well, how much insurance? You go in there and tell the insurance company, you got a policy for $100,000, and not all of them, they like ching ching. We can give her the gold plated casket and let them love it. And remember, it's in the ground. So you get to kind of control some things by having a plan in place.
You're gonna have a statue with a waterfall next to you.
You know, so I tell them, what does it cost? And I let them know that they have enough to cover that cost. They don't need to know anything else about your policy. But when you don't know, you take your policy in, you take all the information, you lay it on the table because you're emotional. You just want to make sure that your loved one is put to rest. And you're not thinking sometimes with a rational mind, you're thinking with this emotional mind, which all of us will be. Darlene, I told you last time we talked, when her mother passed away, Darlene Darlene in the business. This is what she do for clients every single day. But when it came to her being the person who's about to bury her mother, she was an emotional basket case. She couldn't remember nothing. So it has nothing to do with your experience, has nothing to do with who you think you are. When I'm in that place, I'm going to need somebody to help me think clearly. Period, because we all love the people that we love. So
Amen.
Bill, thank you for being able to, and you guys think about these things. Don't let us just talk to you. I'm always asking you to ask yourself the question. And if the answers are not the ones that you have, then you need to reach out to Darlene or myself. And of course, we got Bill on our side to help you put the right plan in. And maybe you're good, but guess what? It's normally not us who do the problem. It's them sisters, them brothers, sometimes them daddies and mamas. We love them. But hey, how about our parents when they get too older, they don't have enough money, and somehow people think the first thing you can let go is your insurance policy, which means that you become their insurance policy. I'm just saying. So
have a plan. Look, hey Rita, here's the book. Here's the book. My Final Wishes. We have My Final Wishes organizers. Hey, reach out to Rita, reach out to Darlene. We get a free copy to you. Get as many copies you need for your family as well. Write the vision. Make it plain, write it out, and it's going to help you.
And then also, just for those on here, Darlene and I do a lot of family group meetings. I've done two this month that we just talked about insurance. So all of the family get on a Zoom call and we talk about what is insurance, because many times we don't even understand what insurance is. We don't understand the difference between term and perm and the final expense. How does it work? And so they come together. Maybe there's a Jane on the line or a Joe on the line, and you know that they need insurance, but they can't afford it. So what this family did, they came together and came up with an amount that everybody would put into a fund. And that fund would help pay for the insurance for the family members who can't afford it. Because either you pay 10, 15, 20 bucks a month, or you're going to be trying to come up with $1,000, $2,000 when time comes, because they come in to ask you. So this is what, Darlene, this next slide means a lot, because it means that we're putting a plan in place to be prepared for that time period.
Absolutely. So Bill, did you want to say something else? I'm sorry.
I was going to say one other thing, and then and it's going to be real brief, but even for folks who are connected on here, oftentimes we are members of churches, members of other organizations. This affects everybody, and we speak at churches quite frequently. Yes, sometimes virtually in Zooms. Sometimes we'll come in person and meet with your church, because this is very, very important information that every person, every congregation, every group needs to hear about. So certainly would love to, any invitations to come and speak, we're always available.
Yes. And so just as Rita said, we've gone over all of this. What we're doing is planning. We're trying to put a plan in place, because Mr. Alan Lakin said planning is bringing the future into the present, because we know it's coming. So we can do something about it right now. And you know what else? We're trying to help you do something about some other things right now. Okay, we have two very important upcoming events. We have a workshop next Tuesday, December the 6th. Yes, we're in December, you all. That's going to be on new wealth management strategies for today's turbulent times. It's going to be at 6 p.m. at the South Bowie Library. There is the address to the South Bowie Library. If you have your camera and you're looking at us on your laptop or computer at work, there is the QR code. You just simply hold up your camera, scan it, and the registration form pulls up right there. If you're on your phone, then Rita, can you put in the chat the bit.ly link? It's ABS Register, and that's the bit.ly link. And with the times that are going on right now, like the little picture says right here, no, stay. You just got off the roller coaster of the stock market. Things look to be going good. We're going to be talking about some different ideas and strategies that you can put in your portfolio today, that it doesn't matter how many loops and dips and ups and downs that it goes through, your portfolio or a portion of it will be insulated. And then many of you asked for us to do it again. You missed it when we had the Baby Boomer Dilemma movie documentary event. So guess what? You've been asking, and we're putting it on again. And in this documentary, they're going to be discussing some of the major things that are impacting the baby boomers. And if you are in generation, what do we read? X, Z? I'm not sure what we are. that I don't even know, but we right there next to, all I'm saying is those of us that are right there next to the baby boomers, that if they had extended it just 3 more years, we would have been at the bottom half of the baby boomers.
You're telling your age now, darling. You're telling your age.
I know, Bill, but I'm talking to all my people out there that's, you with me, my people.
I'm with you.
And those that are actually baby boomers. So this is a very important documentary, because there's some things that we don't think about. That's why it's called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. That also is next Thursday. That is on December the 8th. That's at 6 p.m. And that's going to be at the Bowie Regal Movie Theater. This is a movie. So yes, it's at the movie theater. And for those of you, Rita, should I say it? If you get there before 6 or right at 6, because the movie starts promptly at 6:15, you will get a concession gift card courtesy of Rita and myself. So you can register for the Baby Boomer Dilemma at Boomer Movie, ABS Boomer Movie. That's the link. Or you can simply scan the QR code and the registration will come up. Rita, did you want to say something?
Well, first of all, y'all, it's not the ABS Baby Boomer. It is just the Baby Boomer Movie. That's the link that she created, just so you know. But honestly, when you come to watch this movie, it's so, I told Darlene, I don't know if you guys watched it. I can't even think of the name of the movie, but they're talking about the death of pensions. And they're talking about how a lot of pensions companies, now the government may be a little safer because guess what? We're paying tax, but there's a lot of private companies that pensions have gone away. Yeah. That they, and it's not because the pensions didn't make money, have bad management. But even I watched a movie on Netflix the other day. I told Darlene, it was like movie portraying life. And I think, what was his name, Darlene? I told you the actor.
Samuel L. Jackson.
No,
it wasn't. It was Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Is these 3 old men who work for this plant. They had been working 30, 40 years and had a pension, and the company went belly up, and they robbed a bank so that they can have money to survive. And even though it's it's funny, but it's, for some people that could be real. And so this movie is just talking about all the things that we have to be concerned with when it comes to our retirement, and how do we put a plan in place to make sure that we have income for as long as we live. Now it's a movie, so it's entertainment in a sense, but for real, this one here, when we're at that movie, nobody's laughing. Nobody is, they're all in tune so they can get educated and understand what is happening. And so because it's America, nothing ever happens. Y'all wake up. And what we got to do is wake up and understand what's happening. So come out, get educated, bring a friend, and just make sure you register. So thank you. And we'll put those links on the Facebook page as well.
Yes, thank you, Rita, because I was trying to, and the glitches. So yes, Rita, please put that in. So yes, please, again, scan the QR code. If you are watching on a computer, it'll bring up the registration form, or you can simply type in the bit.ly link, and that will bring up the form. And please, when you are putting in the bit.ly link, it is case sensitive. So please put it in exactly as you see it there.
All right.
So we at Affordable Benefit Solutions, we are a full service financial solutions firm. And so we can handle all of your financial needs, whether you're just coming into government or working on your new job 15 minutes ago, or you're leaving in 15 minutes to head for the retirement exit. We got you covered. We also can help you with your estate planning needs, your life insurance. That's why Mr. Bill Wormley was on here going over the 9 things to need to know about a funeral. And of course, credit and debt has become even more important, getting rid of the debt and improving the credit. So we can help you with all of the areas of your financial life. So what's going to be right for you? We don't know. It depends. That's why we want you to reach out to us at 301-577-6340 so that we can create and map out a strategy for you to help you put all of your pieces together for your financial destination. So this is just a snapshot of some of our staff here. We have offices here in the Washington, D.C. area, down in Baltimore, Maryland. So, and more importantly, if you have a computer, a mouse, and a phone, we can be connected no matter where you are. So whether you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, up north, Canada, I know you're coming online. We talking to you too. Or down south in the United States, we got you covered.
1 second,
Go ahead.
Darlene. I know you guys, we ran over, but if you are a client of Darlene or myself, we're having a client appreciation event on December the 15th. So some of y'all are saying you haven't gotten the email, reach out to us so that you can come out. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. at the DoubleTree Hotels for clients. So make sure you just don't show up, you get turned around at the door. Don't be mad at us, but it's for our clients. We just want to say we appreciate you. We're going to have fun, music, games. We're going to have vendors. So it's going to be a shopping jubilee for those last minute shoppers like Rita, who used to go to the CVS on Christmas Eve because she done forgot to go shopping. So we're going to have some vendors there for you so you can go shopping. This is going to be a great time and fun. So if you did not get the email or the invite, reach out to Darlene or myself so we can make sure we get you included in the festivities.
Yes, please reach out 301-577-6340. And of course, if you have our cell phone numbers, please reach us on that number. So just send us a text or call us. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate you hanging in here with us for another information fun-filled episode of Financial Fun Friday. Please come back on December the 16th and join us so you can hear all about the festivities, but more importantly, to get some more great financial tips and strategies. So when you come on the 16th, don't come alone, bring one. And don't keep us to yourself, right, Rita? Share us on your page. As soon as this is over, just hit the share button when it comes up and tell the world about all of the good news that you have heard today.
Because sharing is caring.
That's what they say. And I wish I was a little closer. I would be coming to get my popcorn, my gift card.
It's just a ride away. It's not that far. It's hotels everywhere. Come on up and join us.
Come on up. Get your popcorn on us. So please hit those links and register. We appreciate you. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you,
Bill.
on the 16th.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Bill.
Love y'all.
Love you too.
We love you right back.
All right. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Wait a minute, music.
I
was gone. Okay. I was just partying all by myself.
Yeah, you partying, girl. That's okay. Party like you right here by yourself.
Wait a minute. Okay, y'all.